Good morning, Miss Susie.
Good morning, Miss Polly.
Good morning to all of our friends joining us today for another Bible story. Miss Nancy, do you enjoy fishing?
Oh, yes, I love to fish, but you know what? I seldom catch any fish. You know what I get?
What do you get?
Mosquito bites.
Mosquito bites.
They bite.
Well, Nancy, if you don't get any fish, why do you enjoy fishing so much then?
Well, Miss Polly, I enjoy the peacefulness and the relaxation while being out in the boat or sitting along the lake. And I can see all of God's creation around me. I can hear the birds singing and the insects are buzzing around. Sometimes there's a little turtle that'll come up or fish will jump up out of the water. And of course, the warm sunshine that shines down on me feels so wonderful. Being out in the lake or being along the side of the water, waiting on the fish to come.
Well, Miss Nancy, that's a good reason to want to be out in the boat. But I want you to pretend with me today.
Okay, I like to pretend.
Let's say that you have been out on the lake fishing all day and early into the evening, and you have not caught even one fish. You are really discouraged and ready to leave, but suddenly you hear a voice, and the voice says, turn to the other side of the boat and drop your fishing line on that side of the boat. What would you think? What would you do?
Oh, Miss Nancy, I would look around because I'm out there by myself, and I would look around to see who's talking to me.
It's kind of scary, wouldn't it?
Then I think to myself, well, this is the craziest thing I have ever heard. I've been out here all day and all night fishing. What difference does it make what side of the boat I'm fishing from?
Well, Miss Nancy, our pretend story really did happen to Jesus' disciples.
What do you mean? Miss Polly, is this what our story's about this week? What is our story called?
Today's story is called Gone Fishing, and it is based on the book of John 21, verses 1 to 14, found in the
New Testament.
And Miss Nancy, do you remember that 3 days after Jesus died and was buried, that Mary Magdalene found the tomb empty? Jesus had risen from the dead, and he was alive.
I remember that from last week, Miss Polly. It was a wonderful story.
Well, some of the disciples who had been fishermen, like Peter, Andrew, James, and John, did not quite know what to do with themselves. They had seen Jesus alive, but now he wasn't leading them from place to place and teaching and healing. They weren't quite sure what to do with themselves without Jesus. They did not have a plan for Jesus' dying and then being alive. Suddenly, Peter said,
I'm going fishing.
We'll come too,
the others said. So they got in the boat and they fished all night, but caught nothing.
Just as the sun rose, Jesus was standing on the beach, but the disciples did not know it was him. Maybe the sun was in their eyes, or the early morning fog made it difficult to see. Jesus called out to them,
Have you caught any fish?
Not a thing,
the disciples called back.
Then Jesus said,
Throw your nets on the right-hand side of the boat, and you will catch some fish.
The disciples thought this was a crazy idea. They had been there all night catching no fish. How could a guy on the beach know where the fish were? But they threw their nets over the right side of the boat, and immediately there were so many fish in their nets, they could hardly hold on to the nets.
As the disciples saw the nets so full, they knew immediately the stranger was Jesus.
Peter jumped into the sea and swam to shore. He was so excited to see Jesus. The others took time to row the boat, dragging their nets full of fish. It was very hard to get the boat there. And do you know there were 153 large fish?
That's amazing. That's amazing. Well, by the time they got to the beach, Jesus had a fire going. He was roasting some fish and he had some bread. Jesus called to them to bring some of the fish that they had caught. He said,
Come, I've made you breakfast.
Fish and bread. This all seemed familiar. They didn't need to ask who this person was right in front of them. They knew it was Jesus breaking bread and feeding them, just like he always had.
Miss Nancy, can you believe that story? It would be amazing to have breakfast with Jesus, the risen Lord.
I know, Miss Polly, but I've been wondering what would happen if the disciples had not listened to the
Right.
stranger. They didn't know it was Jesus. Why would they listen and do something that made no sense at all?
Well, Miss Nancy, I thought about the same thing. But let's think. They would have missed out on that wonderful breakfast on the beach with Jesus. You know, Miss Nancy, I think this story is a good way to remember that we should always do the things that Jesus calls us to do. Otherwise, we could miss out on all the wonderful blessings that he has waiting for us.
No, Miss Polly, that's right. Could we close with a prayer clap?
Let's do a prayer clap.
Okay,
Ready?
that's good. Yes.
1, 2, 3, clap. Dear God,
Dear God,
help me to listen to you.
help me to listen to you.
Help me to follow you.
Help me to follow you.
Thank you for your wonderful blessings.
Thank you for your wonderful blessings.
Amen.
Amen.
You know what, Miss Nancy?
What?
It's about time to say goodbye to all of our friends.
Oh, no.
And we need to remember what, Miss Nancy?
Oh, bye. Make sure that you download the color page from the secondchurch.org/children. We're going to color it this afternoon.
Bye, friends.
See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.